Welcome to another edition of our prep video feature, and I'm joined by sports writers Phil Gardner, Richard Walker. Just wanted to ask these guys a few questions this week, as we've been doing the last few weeks. I'll let Richard start it off this week. The first one is, other than South Point, what's another Big South team that you can see making a run in the playoffs this year?
Well, I think talent-wise, it would be Crest, but I think they've got to kind of fine-tune what they want to do offensively and defensively. The game I saw certainly was not one of their shining moments against Forest View, but I think certainly as those younger players, because it seemed like a lot of their skill players are sophomores and juniors, and even a couple of freshmen. And I think over the course of a long season, they will get better and better. And I think that their offensive firepower will give them a chance to make to make some noise in the 4A playoffs.
About you, Phil?
Well, I know you'd also like to say Forest View. Obviously, Forest View is an easy choice. They're definitely built for a playoff run just because they're so strong on defense, and they've got a great running game. And I think that's a recipe for success, especially once you get to the playoffs. Jarkevis Alexander, anchors a real strong running attack, and I can see them, going a couple or three rounds in the playoffs.
What about a team that maybe not a contender this year, but a team maybe looking forward, 1, 2 years, 3 years down the road, that might step up and become a contender in the conferences around here?
Of course, all the teams that come to mind that are going to be good in the future are also good right now. I mean, I look at a really young Lincoln team that is already making some noise, but they're really young. I can see them, being state championship good in a couple of years. But another team. I'll let Richard keep his answer that he wants to say, but Bessemer City is one of those teams that I think is a team on the rise. I think Larry Boone's got them going in the right direction, and we can see them, contending for a couple of years here.
Well, there are three, and I base it all on having watched a lot of middle school. Certainly South Point is young. They're going to suffer some senior losses, but their middle school program is real solid coming up. Forest View is getting kids from both Cramerton and Southwest. They played in the championship game last year. They're doing really well again this year. But the one I like as much as anybody, and it's going to surprise people, is probably Cherryville, because you've got Thomas Bess and Terry Whistman, who are sophomores. Now, the thing that could change that is both of those athletes may choose other sports to specialize in. I can see Bess being a baseball player. I can see Whistman choosing basketball. But as long as they're on the Cherryville football team, any game they play, they've got a chance to make noise offensively. And then you throw in Casey Adams as a runner, and they've got some other young kids coming up. I think offensively, they're going to be a headache for at least 2-3 more years if those two stay and play football.
Final question, if you're building a football team in this area, who's a player you would start with? And I'm not going to allow you to say Jay Boyd or Desmond Lowry, because I feel like those are kind of obvious choices.
Well, again, I go to Cherryville. I think Thomas Bass is as good an athlete as there is in the county and in the area. He's only a sophomore. Again, the question with him is he going to choose to focus on baseball or football? I think he is a terrific athlete, and the thing with him is he could play running back if they had another guy that was good enough to play quarterback. He could play receiver. He's a good defensive player, so that's who I would choose, and he's only a sophomore.
What about you, Phil?
If I'm starting with one player in high school football, it's going to be either a quarterback or a running back.
Right.
And I'll take Jarkevis Alexander from Forest View just because he's probably the strongest runner around. I mean, he runs as hard as any running back we have around here. And you have the added bonus of having him on defense. And I've seen him return interception. Okay, and that's why I'm going to do that against Burns too. And he's just a playmaker on both sides of the ball. So you start with him, you can have a pretty good team.
All right, good job this week. That'll wrap it up. If you have any questions for these guys, feel free to send them in, sports@GastonGazette.com, and we'll see if we can get these guys to answer them. That wraps it up. We'll see you again next week.